able to deploy on 48 hours notice, and to stay for up to 6 months. The ARC currently consists of, well, you heard it before, we talk about engaging. The state, I think from Ambassador Pearson, the State Department comes up with a few guys. Well, the ARC is currently 10 State Department officers. It'll be at least, I'd say, 20, possibly as many as 30 by next spring or summer. The SRC currently consists of 90 State Department officers and retirees, and will grow to an interagency team of hundreds over the next year. The SRC members have government day jobs, but agree to be deployable on 14 days notice for S&R crises. The third element, the CRC, I'll discuss in just a moment or two. Although our office still has not received money from Congress for a conflict response fund, we have it in the 2009 budget request. We have used our operational budget to deploy members of our staff to S&R-like or S&R-type missions overseas. We're doing this not only to contribute to real foreign policy challenges, but also to test and practice our nascent systems. I'll give you a couple examples of what our office has been doing over the last year. Last spring, we deployed our senior transitional security advisor to support negotiations in the Darfur peace agreement and to assist signatories in implementing security arrangements mandated by the agreement. We also deployed 3 consecutive teams of 2 each of the Active Response Corps to support embassy efforts in monitoring implementation of the peace agreement and setting up forward offices in El Fasher, and that's in Darfur. Last year, an SRC, this is our standby our response corps, an SRC member deployed to Chad to assist the embassy in N'Djamena in monitoring the situation in Abeche near the border with Darfur, and later another SRC member deployed to Darfur. So we've deployed a grand total of 2 from this SRC. On-staff conflict experts were deployed to Nepal last year to develop with the embassy a strategy for supporting the peace process there. We've been engaged in Haiti on several fronts, from sharpening international coordination through the UN Haiti Core Group, to leading U.S. government strategic planning and holding lessons learned and elections planning roundtables with the U.S. and international partners on-site in Haiti. In Kosovo, we're assisting State's European Bureau with planning and U.S. support to the post-settlement process, and we have 2 experts deployed to Pristina, one focusing on planning and the other on management issues. In a previous deployment, 2 ARC members helped stand up the International Civilian Office there. We currently have 5 staff members, including 1 ARC member, deployed to Afghanistan at the request of the 82nd Airborne to look at ways to improve coordination between the embassy, the provincial reconstruction teams, the PRTs, and the military. We also have ARC members currently deployed to Liberia and Iraq. However, I should add, our main focus is the future, and we're not, our engagement in Afghanistan is very specific, and our engagement in Iraq is actually a PRT lessons learned exercise that we're doing jointly with the Army. As I mentioned before, we haven't been able to secure crisis response funding from Congress, but we have had access to 1207 funding from the Defense Department, which authorizes DoD to provide funds to the Secretary of State of up to $100 million per year, which is a lot of money in State Department standards, to support the provision of assistance in reconstruction, security, and stabilization. I think you heard Tom Balthasar made reference to in fiscal year 2007, we spent, I think, $96 million of it, so we came very close to spending the limit. We hope to be able to do the same this coming year. Shortly after the crisis in Lebanon arose, we deployed a senior staff member to help the embassy coordinate stabilization and reconstruction assistance, and to devise an initiative to increase the capacity of the Lebanese police to provide post-conflict security in Beirut and in northern Lebanon. We also funded an initiative for unexploded ordnance removal. These initiatives earned the first ever transfer of funds under Section 1207 Defense Authority. Also, out of that money, following up on our work in Haiti, we coordinated an interagency effort to develop a $20 million stabilization initiative there in the troubled neighborhood of Cité Soleil. In conclusion, the Office of the Coordinator for Reconstruction and Stabilization seeks to coordinate an effort that will result in civilian agencies planning, preparing and conducting operations with the military or other partners to achieve key U.S. policy objectives. Our interagency plan must be based on a shared understanding of the sources of the conflict, the objective the U.S. is trying to achieve, and a strong commitment to partnership with international allies and the host nation. Just as importantly, the people we deploy to conduct operations need to be recruited, trained, and prepared for their task. In addition to creating an active response corps and a standby response corps, we're in the midst of building a civilian reserve corps of rapidly deployable, highly trained civilian experts from outside the U.S. government. A civilian reserve would tap expertise from the larger American public, allowing us to draw on police, judges, engineers, public administrators, and health experts, all skills critical to reconstruction and stabilization operations, but not available in sufficient numbers within the U.S. government. The National Security Strategy, the Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction, CSIS's Beyond Goldwater Nichols initiative, the Council on Foreign Relations publication In the Wake of War, and legislation proposed by Congressman Farr and Senators Lugar, Biden, and Hagel have all called for this capacity to be created. In his 2007 State of the Union address, the President once again signaled his support for this corps. Last year's Iraq supplemental request included $50 million to stand up the CRC. The money, for which we are still waiting congressional authorization, is very important and would give us an opportunity to get a 2-year head start on building this critical capacity, since most of the crisis response funding and the extra funding for the ARC and the SRC is requested in our 2009 budget. So we're a couple years away in any event from full capacity here in the best of worlds. The ultimate goal for the CRC would be a pool of 4,000 private citizen reservists available for call-up on 2 months' notice to augment an eventual 2,000 strong standby reserve corps, or standby response corps, excuse me. These would be government employees with other jobs in the government, but committing to be reservists for this purpose, and an ARC of 250 full-time R&S deployers from within the civilian ranks of government. There'd be about 100 from state, about 100 from AID, and about 50 from other agencies. That's the group that we have 10 of now. We'll have probably 20 or 30 by the summer, and after the 2009 budget, we would build it up to 250. This is a priority for the Secretary of State, and she has tasked the coordinator with making it happen. Well, as you've gathered from what I've said, and I think from the other mentions of this office this morning, after more than 3 years, the coordinator's office and the rest of the civilian agencies still have an awful lot to do, and some of the work ahead rests also with Congress. It will only be successful when the entire government, both civilian and military, pulls together in the same direction and does so with adequate resources to fill the gaps and to fund the solutions that have been identified. That's all. Thank you very much. I could take any questions you might have.